Welcome to episode 8 of Twist and Turns. I am Lindsay.
And I'm Joaquin.
And today we have two guests with us, Amy and Andrea.
I'm Amy.
I'm Andrea.
All right.
So this episode, considering this is a marketing podcast and they're both part of the marketing team, we're just going to quickly touch on what they do and then just quickly describe how what they do ties into marketing, because just get some backstory and like background information on YouTube. So
Okay, I'm Andrea Kahn. We really don't have titles at Zen, which we kind of like because we've all worked in corporate America, and it's fun to work for a startup and not have these titles. So I oversee our marketing.
I'm Amy, and what do I do? I do know what I do. I come in every day, so I do know. But a lot of the digital aspect of it, so and with a lot of the design, that part of it,
Right.
as well as events, and so some paid, some unpaid. That's really what I work on.
Nice.
So that would be digital marketing,
Yep.
social media marketing, and then event marketing. So you touch all three of those. Yeah. And then, like Andrea said, she looks over everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
she touches all the umbrellas of marketing. So
All right.
do we want to go into more in depth into marketing, or?
I know Andrea does. She was
I'll say
talking about it
Andrea,
earlier.
Andrea, you want to take it away and go into some of the just quickly,
Elaborate a
just
little bit.
quickly.
Sure.
you can
So
just quickly
we'll
touch on
just
it.
my observation as someone that's been doing this for a little while now, more than 10 years, is just how much marketing has evolved. I mean, I'm really a marketing generalist, which means I need to know everything. I need to know, what do we say? I need a little bit about everything, but I'm not an expert necessarily in anything. Although age, I probably am an expert in some things by now. But it is just fascinating how much it's evolved. And so there's now these very niche segments of marketing that are so important, like email marketing, SEO, paid, the whole social media component, influencer marketing. And so those are really important things. And those you really need subject matter experts in. So that's kind of my, yeah.
And so important that all those things work together.
Yes.
So that everything isn't living in its own little silo and nothing is, contributing to the next thing. So I think that's what we try to pay a lot of attention to. Like if we're doing this, how is that helping the rest?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really too how you build a brand, is that everything does work together and it's cohesive. So if you see us at an event and you come to the website, there's not this huge disconnect between the two things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because in school, there's even a big emphasis on like the specifics, like social media. There's even like, not a major, but there's like a specific like certificate for that. SEO has, I'm pretty sure, a certificate.
Yep.
There's a big emphasis on the different types. That it's like growing.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think those certificates are awesome to take. I also think Google Analytics is something that should be taught in every marketing class at universities across the country. That's another huge component. Even with the iOS changes that have happened. So
Yeah, my social media class requires us to get Google Analytics certified
that's
before the end of the
fantastic.
year.
That's so great.
So that's really nice to have.
That's so great. And we still have so much more information. When I started my career again a long time ago, there was no Google Analytics, there was no SEO. Like you did not get analytics on your customers.
Yeah.
And so we still, even with the iOS, we still know so much more about people, as creepy as that is, than we did back a while ago.
I know, it is funny because we want to know all that about our customers, but then we don't want anyone to know it about us.
Yeah, you feel both sides of
The
it.
weird privacy, the privacy like
But
component.
it's the game. I mean, that's what we we can give a better product.
We can give a better product.
It's a better experience for the customer when we know them.
Yes.
So that's how you have to look
Absolutely.
at it. Like
Right.
it's for good.
Yes.
And that's a really good segue, because we actually were going to ask of how technology has evolved in your guys' career and how that affected everything in your career. You can talk about marketing specifically, or you could just touch on it quickly.
Just technology. Well, again, since I've been doing this so long, I actually helped create the first website for the first big brand that I worked
Yeah, so that's
out of college.
Yeah.
that's a big project. I would feel like
It was
They
a
just
huge
assign you.
product. I mean,
Yeah.
it was all hands. I mean, we had a whole website team, and of course we had legal, and there was the core marketing team, and it was a huge deal. And it's so funny to look back on that now. And, now I've used WordPress. We use Shopify here at Zen. But when I look at the technology and like things like Google Analytics, email marketing, companies like Klaviyo, MailChimp. Yeah, it's changed a lot. No, we did 1-800 numbers, and you would have our poor customer service team. We'd ask them to track, and they'd all be like, oh, here's the marketing lady again asking me if I tracked all my calls today, and they're just trying to get through their calls and handle them as best as they can. But yeah.
So I started in design, and so when I was a graphic designer, and it was completely paced up, 100%. I don't know if you know what that means, but you can look it up.
You might have
look
to.
up paste up. Look up paste up. Google it.
Okay.
Everything was paste up in publishing and print. And the year I was graduating, my professor quickly learned Adobe, Photoshop, Illustrator, and there was Quark Express. And that was to teach us in one semester everything you need to know about digital art, essentially.
That was great.
And that is why I got my first job in publishing, because I had taken that class and was 21 years old and went to a publishing house, and they were moving from paste up to digital.
Yeah.
And so I had to go in and turn everything over. So that was my first experience with technology, really.
That's really
That makes me think of a story. The first time that I really realized the magnitude of Photoshop, and was looking, I worked for a retail brand, and we had shot a campaign with models, and they Photoshopped this poor lady's thighs to make them look smaller. And I remember, this was my first time, and I was still in my 20s. I was young, and I remember telling all my girlfriends, this is what they do. She's beautiful, and they just took
just
2
change her.
inches off.
Part of her body's gone.
Yeah, and I love that technology has also digressed back, that we're not doing that. You have brands like Dove Beauty, which I've always
of course.
admired,
Yeah.
where
The different
now they have a
changes.
great campaign. And I love that, let's just let people be who they are. And
Yeah.
not everybody has to, look a certain way. So I love that, we've
really
gone
turned
the other
around.
way.
I have a story about Photoshop, just really quick. So I worked for the Packer Insider, and you'd have those mob of players, whatever they're doing, they're all tackling each other,
Okay.
and I would erase legs.
Oh.
So there were, so it looked a little clean on the bottom. But there were never enough legs for the amount of time. That was my little Easter egg.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah, I was gonna say, because I haven't learned. I've tried, but it's difficult. But there's so much you can do with that. That it's
is.
it's not endless, but it's just a great skill to have.
Yeah.
And to understand.
Yeah.
But I'll try to segue into what we were going to talk about next.
Yeah.
I was just trying to. we do jump
lots of
around a little
stories
bit.
as we get
yeah,
older.
there's going to be a lot of stories. It's going to be hard to tie it into our. But I feel like with technology, it also has a big impact on the academic outlook in general to studying, because we've actually. I wanted to bring up that the fact that enrollment is actually down at universities now, and I feel like I would give it to the fact that technology has advanced so much. So we had a little quick statistic that undergraduate enrollment decreased by more than 662,000 students, or 4.7%.
Wow, that's crazy.
Spring 2021.
But I can see that, because, and it's interesting now, as I'm a mom of 3 kiddos, and 10 years ago, it would have been you have to go to college. This is what you have to do. And now, as an entrepreneur, working for a startup, I would say go to college for 1 year, because it's fun and you meet all these new people and it's some good life experience. But after that, if you don't want to continue, you don't have to, because you don't need it. There's some professions you do. If you want to be a doctor, lawyer, yes, you need college, but you you don't for so many other things. And to get this real life experience and this whole thing like influencer marketing, you don't
Right.
need a college degree to influence, be an influencer. And even, there's, again, depending on the university and what they're teaching or not teaching, you're going to get more hands-on experience in the real world than you are in the classroom anyway, which is what is so critical in marketing,
Right.
which is why internships are so great, is because then you
Yes.
get that hands-on experience. But that is so much more invaluable. Like you really don't need that college degree anymore. The technology has changed
So
all
much.
of that, which
Right.
is great because now it's opened up these jobs that people would have never had the
Yeah.
opportunity to do before.
Yeah.
So
As long as you know what you're interested in. Otherwise,
You mean as in like a passion? Like,
yeah,
are
so
you
like if
interested
you're
in,
going into, if you're in college and you decide you're going to be an entrepreneur, let's say, to what you were saying, like what are you going to be an entrepreneur in? Like what are you
Yeah,
going to
of
do?
course.
And do you have to have more knowledge and more, of that? So my kids have to go to school.
is that like your like
That
that's
is a
your,
rule.
as a parent? Okay.
Yes, they have to go to school. And I have, one just graduated and I have one in and one going in. So
Okay.
for me, it's about like 4 years of almost delayed adulthood.
Yeah,
Because
that's
there is this, like, you're working, you have to be responsible, you get to try all new kinds of things, but you're kind of still under this umbrella of like safety. It's a little safer, right? Than going like right into being an entrepreneur, which is great if you can afford it and you can, you know exactly what you want to do.
Right.
you don't know what you want to
Yeah,
do.
you want to keep testing more things. Yeah, keep testing more things. For me, like I did know exactly what I wanted to do, but I also knew I needed to have the degree or nobody would have hired me. And
Yeah.
at the time I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to do this on my own. That never occurred to me. Now, speaking of that really quickly, what I would have done, what I suggest to anybody who's thinking about being an entrepreneur is take some accounting classes, take some business classes,
Yeah, like I have to
because
take a
you
bunch of
will
business.
need it.
For sure.
100%. So that's what I keep telling my kids too. Like, just squeeze it in there. Like 1 or 2 classes. Even if you think you'll never need it, you will.
Yeah.
Because if you ever work for yourself, even as a freelancer, contractor,
Oh yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
need to keep all that stuff straight, and the class will help.
Yeah.
So so I think entrepreneurship is great. I love it. I do make my kids go to school for 4 years.
Yeah.
What about, because I love this new trend with the gap year. What about the gap year? Would you let your kids do that?
As long as I'm
year.
not paying for it.
Well, no, that's the whole point of the gap year, though, is that you have to go work. You can go work in Australia, England, wherever you can get a work
long as you're
permit and do
working.
something, but go do a gap year. I think that's another great. I would be, they have to pay for it.
Yes,
No, mom and dad are not supporting that. No,
No, that's true. That's true. That's like a year vacation. at that.
That's vacation now.
They're
They're not
giving you a
gap
year vacation before you start. Yeah.
Right.
My kid, I have to say, to your point, came to
Yeah.
me and was like, I do not need this degree.
Yeah.
And they had an argument. And like the PowerPoints I got for the hamster, which I did get a lot of PowerPoints for
That's the way
hamsters.
to go. You gotta
or
bring.
birds.
You gotta bring
or
the. You gotta
if
bring the
they
PowerPoint.
could prove to me that they were ready to do it, that would be,
Yeah.
but none have come to me to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like those are both like great points because I've seen personally on social media, like for a time, entrepreneurship was like the thing that was like popping. Like everyone wanted to drop out, everyone wanted to leave and like become rich and all that stuff. But literally, because that's how you painted it. That's how everyone painted it as. It's like, oh, you become an entrepreneur, you're gonna be rich, like no matter what. And I'm like, well, and considering this is gonna be a lot of like college students seeing it, it's better to get all perspectives.
Yeah.
And I would say, me personally, I would think that you should go to college, and then if you want to start entrepreneurship after you graduate, I feel like that could also be something you could look into because you can start your own company at any point in time.
Absolutely.
You can.
So you could also just if you think that you could go to college and get your degree, then you could start after in whatever you want, and then take what you learned and do that. But of course, if you can start right away, then you can start right away. If you don't feel like you don't need it, then just it's better to get it out there so that stigma of you have to go is not really applicable to everyone. So
No.
that's why I wanted to bring it up. And also that is also something that's very true. Not everyone fits
Yeah.
into the college role.
Right.
So,
As long as you're happy doing what you're doing, that's the most important thing. Don't go to college for something that your parents want you to do either. Because I feel like so many kids
I've
are
heard so
forced
many
into
people say
doing
that
the
too.
same
I've heard so many people
occupation
mention
their parents
that.
are doing, and then they're so unhappy. And it's like,
Miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this dovetails into what something we were going to talk about later, but chances are you're probably going to switch careers too.
yeah.
You are going to change things so many times. So I would also say that's why, I mean, to your point, college is nice for take 4 years to figure it out, because you end up with a history major. That doesn't mean you're going to go be a teacher and teach history the rest of your life. You're going to change 3-4 times. I mean, the days of when our parents, this is what they went to school for, and this is what they did their entire career. They worked for the same company. They retired from the same company. Those days are so long over, and I think that's awesome. And so that's why I would also say, don't sweat it. If you don't know what you want to do at 19, it's okay. It is really okay because it's going to change along the way anyway. So anyway, sorry for that rant. I think you guys have a marketing pick of the week.
Yeah, we do.
We can do
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Andrea.
nice.
Helping the segues. It
Nice.
helps. It's perfect. It's perfect. Now we don't have to have a big pause. So we did. So we actually chose a marketing pick last week. We've been trying to choose one every week, but this one we actually thought would be fun to bring it up. Do you want to bring it up, Lindsay? Do you want me to bring it up?
This is, so have you guys heard of the new Smile movie? It's a horror movie.
No.
No.
I
So we gotta get
kind
back
of
around.
laugh at horror
Okay.
movies, to be honest.
You laugh?
I think
I
they're
laugh at
funny.
them too.
No.
I think they're funny.
No. Okay. Well,
Really.
this one is about. I've seen the trailer. I think it's some paranormal stuff. It's like a demon or a spirit that takes over takes over a person and makes them smile, creepy smile, and then they I don't know if they die or they kill themselves.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie, but it's something along those lines. You get possessed, and one of the people in the trailer, they creepy
It's
full smile, and
scary
then
smiles.
they
Like a Joker.
Kind of.
and then that
Yes.
person in the trailer killed themselves. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we were
Okay.
gonna bring it up because we thought it was some really cool, out of the normal box marketing is that the company, their campaign is they've actually hired people to do creepy smiles at different places to build awareness
So it's
of the movie.
in the back of a baseball game.
Yeah, so
And
it's
this
kind
is
of
on live TV. So you
Okay.
see that guy in the back.
yeah, so it ties into that's for the movie, and you're building awareness because people are
Yeah.
sharing that on social media.
They're all wearing their smile T-shirts.
Yeah, well this girl
Not
is.
that
I
girl
don't
did.
know
Right,
Some
there's
of
just
them.
Right.
Yeah, but it's for the movie. So we just thought it was something really cool to bring up.
Yeah.
that It's so out of the box.
They're
but
doing a
it's-
good job
very
of tying it all in.
different.
Full
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they're using all the different social media.
Yeah.
You're building awareness. You're
That's awesome.
and
Yeah.
we just thought it was really cool from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah.
Because cool
thought it
things
was
like that
interesting.
aren't really.
So are you gonna go see the movie?
I'm afraid of stuff like that. Yeah, so I was about to say when you said laugh, I'm like, no, I don't laugh. I'm gonna be sitting there terrified. I don't like scary.
Oh my gosh, I love the Geico commercial that it was on last night during football. And there's chainsaws and they're making fun of, and I'm like, that's how I feel is of course you're going to go in you could get into the car that's running,
Yep.
that you could drive away, or you could go into the garage with chainsaws, and then it shows the guy take off his mask, and even he has an expression
seriously.
why are you walking into,
Yeah.
I'm going to murder you.
Yes.
So I just think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I can't do so. No, I can't. I was scared during the trailer. I was watching other movies. and I
So
was seeing the
Right.
trailer,
here's
I
a
was like,
classic from our day, the Blair Witch Project. And so somebody filmed it with a video camera, and it you almost get motion sickness because it was some amateur videographer that did it back in the day. And then it was is this real? Is it not real?
Kind of paranormal activity,
Yeah.
kind of that type of thing.
I think it was.
Kinda.
I mean,
But
it was.
I'm assuming.
No,
less.
witches.
Yeah.
Oh,
going
okay.
back. It was in Massachusetts, right? That they filmed it.
It was good.
Andrew laughed the whole time.
She's like, I thought it's hilarious. But
Dude, look at this angle. Why is he moving it so much? Why is his hands so shaky?
Right? Wasn't someone alone in the room at the end?
I think so.
I have no idea.
I mean, it was good. I love that kind of stuff. But
I
yeah.
don't. I'm not watching it.
You should watch it.
I'm not watching
The
it.
Blair
I-
Witch.
I need to
not.
watch
Blair Witch
it. I haven't
Yeah,
watched
Project.
it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, Blair Witch Project.
Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I
Halloween.
want to see them
I'm not.
both,
Nope. I don't like horror.
We watched,
All
what was it, The Hills Have Eyes last year for the
Oh,
very first
yeah.
time. And then we went to a haunted house that night that is called The Hills Have Eyes. So we were all like, Oh gosh. A little nervous.
I would never. But yeah, we just thought it was cool. We just
Yeah,
thought it was like
I
really
thought it was
cool.
a good idea because when you do watch scary movies, you're like, okay, I'm looking out for people now that are smiling.
Yeah.
Like that's so
Yeah,
weird.
so it'd be kind of creepy. It would have been cool if they did it. Wow, because it hasn't came out yet, right? The movie.
I think it is now.
It is now, but
before
when they were
they
doing
did
this was
start
before.
it.
I feel like they should have done it as it was coming out.
Yeah.
To go back
Hopefully
to your
be
point.
terrified of it.
To like you're just watching it, you're kind of freaked out, and you see someone like that. You're like,
He's
oh.
like, I'm so scared.
In the theater?
Yeah, like imagine someone just gets
Yeah.
up in the front of the theater and they're just smiling. I would have like, no, no.
Joaquin runs.
Yeah.
I
so
would have.
you're
I
already
would have ran.
terrified.
I would have not. No, it's too much for me.
I'm gonna like tap you on the shoulder later today.
Just smiling? No. I would freak out.
It's like,
No.
seriously?
I haven't even seen it. But yeah. We also. So do we want to go into the next topic?
Sure.
So we actually wanted to talk about some, because we were talking more like business and professional stuff.
Yeah.
We wanted to go into some like humor, because we think you two are funny. When we were coming up with this outline, we were like, they're pretty funny. Let's ask some funny stuff. We were gonna ask you guys if you guys had any funny or crazy college
Yeah,
stories.
people love to hear that kind of stuff.
Bring some humor
Well,
into it.
first you skipped the part that Andrea was really excited about.
Which one?
Which part?
Which was the best advice
That's
for college students.
Mm,
Oh, did you change the order?
Yeah, we
'Cause on
changed
this
the
one,
order.
all right. I just want to make sure it didn't get
Oh, yeah.
overshadowed.
It's right. Yeah.
No, it's right after.
Okay,
It's right
got it.
after.
All right.
I'll make sure I won't forget
Funny
to bring
stories.
it up.
Well, I was trying to think of funny, appropriate stories.
Oh.
And I kind of shared with you earlier, but that's why I wanted my kids to go to school for 4 years, because I have 4 years of really good stories that we still talk about all the time. So because it is this delayed adulthood where you live in a bubble and everything is so fun and great, and you look back at it fondly. But one time I was saying we had no money, saved all the money was for drinks. So I worked, and then I went to the bar, and
If you were 21.
of course,
Right.
Just an FYI, we don't endorse any of that
21 or older. So we never had food, and we knew what was like at
Never?
the bar. No, we didn't. So we knew what was like at the bar, like okay, like pizza tonight or popcorn or
Okay.
that's like how we ate.
Yeah.
And so one time my roommate, there was 3 of us, she made biscuits, homemade biscuits. And they smelled so good. And the 2 of us were sitting on my bedroom floor and we were eating the biscuits. And then we hear coming up the stairs, my 3rd roommate. And we looked at each other in like total horror that we would have to share the biscuits.
That's so messed up. I would have been
And
so
we looked at
mad.
each other and I go, lick your biscuits, lick your biscuits. And we started.
That's so messed up. That's the
All
3rd
the
roommate,
biscuits.
right? So that's like we're supposed to be a family. And you're
I
just,
know,
like,
but she wasn't there,
stealing the
and we were
biscuits.
desperate to eat the biscuits.
Yeah.
And so now, in my family and with my friends from school, like that is the rule. Like that means you're not sharing. You just say,
gotta-
"I'm gonna lick my biscuits," and nobody. I'm not sharing this with anyone. So anyway, so that's one not appropriate or not inappropriate
Not
story.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You've got one.
well, mine's maybe not the most appropriate, but my freshman year, my college roommate was actually on a date with somebody else and ended up on the movie set of a movie that was being filmed at the time and ran into a very famous actor at that time. And they hit it off and exchanged numbers. So I got to answer the phone when he called.
So you knew it was real. Like,
It was
real.
legit.
It was
Oh, she
legit.
came home with
didn't-
autographs, and then she did, and then she ended up hooking up with him, but they didn't have sex because he was dating somebody else at the time, another famous actress, and that would have been cheating if they had had sex in the traditional sense of the word sex. So
Right.
yeah. So that was probably one of the
Still cheating.
craziest
But
things.
That was your roommate too, huh?
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
That was one of the craziest
That would be crazy.
stories
That's
that
insane.
happened.
You just
yeah.
like pick up the phone and you're like, who's this?
Hi.
You're like,
Like, okay.
So I went to St. Norbert, and Packers have training camp there. So there are a lot of stories like that.
oh goodness.
Yeah, a lot of Training camp stories.
Oh my.
Not to be confused with band camp.
Yes, it was like
Did you see that? What movie was that
that's
from?
like American Pie.
American Pie, yeah.
Good
There's
movies.
this one time at band camp.
Yeah. I don't know. That's insane though. Do you have any? I don't have any like super crazy like that stories.
Well, one time.
Well,
the
you
police
actually live with
came to
roommates,
our
right?
dorm.
So.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
To our dorm freshman year.
Wait, who?
The police.
The police.
Why?
Why?
Because we were doing some stuff in there, but it wasn't illegal. It was not illegal.
You gotta give. You
But
can't
then
just
the
say that
sweet
and then
maid-
go.
The sweet maid I told you about last week or like 2 weeks ago, where she like just moved out randomly.
Yeah, the one you didn't like talk to.
She snitched on us because she
What were you
thought
doing?
it was something else, and we were like, no.
You can't just start with.
But we didn't
We
get
were
in
doing
trouble.
something.
We didn't
You
get-
gotta say what you
we
can't say what you were
luckily-
doing.
So you didn't get in trouble.
we were-
No one was arrested.
We were smoking CBD cigarettes, which are legal.
Which are legal.
They are legal.
True.
And my roommate had a really stressful day, so she got them. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll try some. Like, whatever. And we were like, had the window open, we were being
Yeah.
all good about it. And then she came in, she's like, it smells like weed in the hallway and in here. And we're like, it's not, so you're good. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And she left. Then the cops knocked on our door. And we're like, are you kidding?
Oh my
But
God.
we didn't get in
funny.
trouble.
That's good.
So thank goodness.
She's like,
That's good.
They're doing hardcore drugs in there.
Yeah, I was like, no, we would never. And then I called
And I'm
my mom
sure
right
half
away. I
the
was like,
hall probably
Mom.
smelled like weed anyway. So, like, do you
I was
really
gonna say,
know
you
it
can't
was
even
coming
say, yeah,
from
I
our
was gonna say.
room?
I was a security guard the year after. And,
It inspired you to have that job.
That's the situation. Just like,
but
yeah.
like I walked by the halls and like I could smell it all the time, but you could never tell what
Where
room it
it's-
was coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, no.
So that's how we
Right.
knew she snitched.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
Yeah.
there's
I mean,
just
that's
no
why.
way.
That's why she left.
Yeah, and that's why she left,
There she left.
at Christmas time without telling anybody.
But she just like
so-
moved out.
She just moved out. She sent, I guess, her roommate. She's like, by the way, I am switching rooms. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, bye-bye. Like, thank goodness.
Oh, that's so bad.
So, do you guys have any advice for college students?
Life
Tell me
advice.
I
Life
I would say
Advice.
college advice. I would
Okay.
say number one, study abroad.
Okay.
Best time ever. Pick a country, go somewhere, and then it's the most inexpensive time in your life to travel. So I would say study abroad.
Okay.
Huge fan of that.
Where did you
That's-
study abroad?
I studied
Just
abroad
for-
in the south of France for a whole year. Yes, yes, yes. And so it was amazing. And I traveled all over Europe. I mean, almost every country in Europe. It was so cool.
Oh, that's-
so,
yeah.
Sounds really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, so I really wanted to study abroad, but there was too many. I couldn't graduate with
yeah.
my art major, but I wanted my kids to do it, and then COVID happened, so my oldest couldn't go. And then my middle decided to go this summer to Ireland. So my question to you about that is, since you were gone a whole year, how did that feel being gone from all your friends for a year and feeling like you missed, was it your junior year?
It was my junior year.
So like feeling like you missed this pivotal year, right? Did it feel like that a little bit, or just curious?
It did, but there also wasn't social media back then, so you couldn't see what I was
What you're missing?
Oh yeah, that FOMO
We were
doesn't
barely
exist that
emailing
much.
back then. And so it wasn't, you didn't really see what you were missing out
Right.
on. And then I had so much fun and I loved
Right, of
that
course,
experience.
right.
And then a lot of my closest group of girlfriends, there's 6 of us in the group, they all studied abroad. Oh, they all studied abroad.
Yeah.
So I didn't see
combo,
what was
good
going on
combo.
because of social media. And then my closest group of girlfriends, they all studied abroad too. So maybe they didn't do the whole year, they did semesters, but yeah, so it was, I don't know, but I loved it. I met a boy, I mean,
Oh, that's she's not gonna be worried about home. She met a guy. No, she's not gonna be worried about that.
so it was good.
Oh.
It was fun.
I just know that was the thing for my middle was like, I don't know if I want to be gone that long, and like that whole fear. So I was curious about it for you. Yeah. Oh yeah, huge. I recommend it too, and I didn't even do it. I mean, I wanted my kids to do it for that reason. I guess my advice would be, it's not necessarily as fun as studying abroad, but it can be, which would be trying all sorts of things that you wouldn't normally think of doing, and then the internships, even unpaid things, try them out because, like you spoke of earlier, we have no idea at that age. I still don't always know what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, so the more things you try, you kind of start to get this idea of like, what am I actually interested in? What do I think I'm interested in? Or what do I want to be interested in? But it turns out I'm not at all. So it's not as fun as studying abroad, but it can be, again, you know, like try things out, get some internships and, you know, help where you can, even if it's not paid. I think it's, you know, half of mine weren't paid, you know, some were really short, some were long, some were project based, but just pile them on. Because, you know, it keeps you busy, but it also is really, really good for your helping. When you're applying for those first
jobs. That's a really good way of segueing to our next point. We were actually going to ask what some advice you guys had for finding internships. So like you mentioned, it's really important to get them for that experience. What would be your advice for like, this is some really good advice to get?
Well, I would say now, I mean, everybody, again, this is dependent on your major, but since this is really a marketing podcast, if you're a marketing major or in that area, public relations, you should be on LinkedIn, you should have a profile, and you should be actively linking in with people. If there's brands out there that you're like, wow, I love Zen. I love whatever. By the way, we work for Zen. But I would say link in with those people. I mean, don't ever be nervous because of somebody's title or, oh, that's the CEO or that's this. Who cares? We're all people at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. Don't ever be intimidated by that. And so I would say LinkedIn is really, really important to be on. So that's what I would say.
And I would say reach out even if there isn't something available. Because the likelihood is something will become available for you, even if it's not paid. I mean, people like to be liked, honestly. And I just, no, but it's true. Even when I think about how I came here, there wasn't a position for me, you know, but I was interested in the company.
You said I created the position for myself.
Well, no, they created it for me, but but I mean, it was about being interested in the brand. And I am passionate about startups, so love that. But so reach out, like ask, is there anything, this is what I do, this is what I'm curious about, like, and most places would be into that.
Oh, for sure.
You know, except for maybe really, really huge ones, but it's always worth a try. You know, you never know.
You never know.
You never know. So. And again, the worst thing that happens is they say no, which is going to happen to you many times in your life. So get the practice.
You have to get used to it.
No, I feel like that's really good advice, especially the one of not being intimidated by like positions or like titles, because you know you're gonna have to work with people that are totally have like a higher title and stuff like that, and getting away from that.
No, I had
mentality.
I had early on in my career, I worked for a satellite company, Dish Network, and I remember picking up the phone one day and I needed something, and I called like one of the top, she was a female exec at like NBC, and her secretary put me through, and she was like, oh my gosh, like she was like blown away that I, in my career, where I was at in my career compared to her, had the guts to pick up the phone and call her. And she thought that was amazing. And we connected and bonded over that. And, you know, whatever I needed at the time, I got it because I connected this lady. And so I've always like held on to that as like, don't ever be intimidated by somebody's title or position. Pick up the phone, because they were obviously a college student at some point. Yes. They were an intern at some point. So don't ever let that stop you.
Yeah, and I say that because I feel like, well, for me personally, it can be intimidating because you're in college and it was like as an intern. So you kind of don't especially if it's your first internship, like for me here, you don't have like a track record to like, you know, like I'm working with these people that have so much and I have nothing, so it could be intimidating, but like getting over that.
Right.
It's a really
because
good way
you still
of
have something. You're still bringing a perspective.
Well, yeah, you still bring something, but like that intimidation can still be there. So getting away from that can help you get out and be proactive, like you said, to get more opportunities. So.
Yeah, and marketing's so subjective. So just the fact that you bring your own perspective to it, right? I mean, you could sit 5 marketers in a room And we'd all have different opinions and say, how should you take this product to market? Oh, you should do X, Y, Z. And somebody else would say, oh, no, you should do this and you should do that. And not any one of those is right or wrong, or they're all right. None of them are wrong. So you bring a perspective, right?
Yeah.
So at a minimum, you bring that, even if this is your first internship. So
yeah. That's all really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a class that you really liked when you took in college?
Well, I'm probably supposed to say like a marketing class.
No, but actually no, because some of the classes that might have the most impact can be completely different, like a philosophy class.
Yeah, I had a really cool international business class, which is why that was ended up as part of my major. But one of my favorite classes was actually Hemingway. I love to read, and I love, even though he was probably kind of a douchebag as a person. He was an amazing writer, and so it was a J-term class. It was a month long, all about Hemingway, and I thought it was so great. So
yeah, so that's like a perfect example. Like it doesn't tie, but it can have a big.
I mean, so I did love my art history class. That was probably my favorite class. But I also loved opera.
Opera, see?
Yeah.
We learned something new.
Yep.
Opera.
I took an opera class, and then I also really, really liked persuasion. That was one of our classes.
Oh, like public, like
yeah.
speaking.
Yes,
like
and how
people?
to persuade.
I
Yeah.
didn't even see my first opera. Sim and I went and saw our first opera like 2 years ago.
No, I mean, it was an interesting class. Like, I didn't know if I would like it or
It
not.
goes to your point of try something new and different.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
And in that class, just jumping into college stories, my friend worked at a daycare, and a lice jumped from her head. A louse? A single louse?
Wait, what?
Like a lice?
A lice?
louse?
Oh, okay.
Alive, and jumped from her head. Here, I have to do the video. I have to show them how it happened. Landed in her book, and she was like going like this, and we couldn't figure out what she was doing.
Oh my gosh, do I have like a look of horror on my face? So I'm not scared of horror movies, but I don't like lice.
Dude, any bugs like creep me out.
And then my neighbor, because we were across the hall from each other, I went in there, and she was brushing her long, trying to get all the lice out.
No.
Okay, as a mom of 3 kids who got lice while their husband was out of town on a business trip, 3 kids and myself and our nanny all had lice. It was really fun.
I've never had it. That makes me feel a little weird.
Oh, you're gonna itch.
I was about to say, I don't. That's so.
From the,
From
Yeah.
yeah.
Ugh.
Oh.
It doesn't mean you're dirty.
No.
That's what they always tell you, right? It doesn't mean you're dirty.
No.
Well,
They
Joaquin's
like the
sporting a
hair.
new hair look, so
Yeah,
we
I
know
know.
he doesn't
Yeah.
have lice
It's
because
kinda
he just
crazy.
got it done.
I was about to say it was like so impulse decision. I was just like, let's do it.
I like it. It looks good. It's a new look.
So I was
Well,
like,
there
let's
you
do
go.
it. Hopefully it doesn't.
Props to the girlfriend. She did a good job.
Thank you.
Well, I couldn't say if you didn't like it anyway.
Right. Be like,
Don't point that out.
I can tell he likes it.
Why would you point that out?
I can
Why would
tell
you
he
say
likes
that?
it.
No, I
He
didn't.
likes
It was
it.
actually blonde, like way lighter. And I actually liked it. She's like,
glaze
put
on
it. Yeah, she was like, actually, let's try a little darker.
Or she probably freaked out at first, like, this looks frosted.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Remember frosted? Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are back. I think.
Oh,
a little bit.
Kind of like mullets. Mullets are back.
mullets
Mullets
are
are-
back.
Mullets
Oh.
were that
My
was in
brother has a
style when I was
Does
in
he?
I
It's
was
like
in college.
The baseball kids brought it back. I feel like
Yeah.
baseball with mullets, and everyone was like,
Yep.
"Yo, that's cool." So let's wear it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We had names for that. Anyway,
Hey, yo, I'm trying to hear one.
funny college stories.
Do you guys want to talk on like what's the worst class or the class
Oh my gosh,
you regret
stats.
the most? Stats.
I failed it the first time. I'm just being honest. It was awful.
How did you feel when you failed? I haven't failed a class.
Horrible.
yet,
And
but,
I
like,
hated the
all my
professor.
friends-
He was
okay.
PhD, had like written a book. And so he knew, I mean, I think he was British. He knew he was like so smart. And he didn't know how to teach it though. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't have this in high school, dude. And so like he wasn't helpful at all. Anyway, I just hated it. It was a whole bad. It was awful. Like I'd never failed a class in my life. And I didn't realize C's get degrees until after college. So I was trying really hard. And so, and then I retook it the following year or maybe next semester or something, and it was fine. And the professor was great. Hadn't written any books. Went a lot better.
Sometimes
It went a lot better. So that was my story. How about
I don't have a story about. I mean, probably my worst was just some math class I had to take.
Yeah, this was a difficulty. It's always math.
I mean, that's just not the way my brain works, really,
Yeah, me
and
neither.
so
Maybe it's a marketing thing.
I think it's a creative
It's
thing.
a creative thing. I feel like, to be honest.
Yeah,
I feel like you're
and
gonna-
so like I don't need to be nailed down to these numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Why do I
I want to see
care?
around it. Where's the white space?
This white space on this page is horrible.
But yeah, so that I mean, no good story there. I just I'm not a fan of it. Never have
That's
been.
fine. Ours, did we talk about ours last time? We talked about our
I
favorites.
think we talked about our weirdest one, but not the one.
Not
we
the worst
hated
one.
or
Mine was
worst
math
one.
too. So
Mine was probably math.
I
or
hated
calc or
math.
something.
Yeah, I was about to say it's all math, always math.
Yeah.
I think
Not for everyone.
but the
Not for-
professor
but for
thing is
us.
such a good point. Like some of these professors don't know how to teach.
No, they don't.
Swear.
They
It's like
do
I
not.
get it, you know the topic, but it doesn't mean you know how to.
Right.
It doesn't mean you know how to
Right.
It's-
teach it to somebody.
Right. It's usually the ones that go to study to become a professor or something. Like the ones that actually work in the field and then they come back and teach. Great professors.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
That's why internships are great.
Yes.
Because you're
'cause you're
surrounded by
getting
people
that
in it.
Firsthand.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll tell you about your experience.
Right.
So it's like really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
I'm assuming they didn't have Rate My Professor back in the day, huh? The Rate My Professor. Have you heard of that? It's a website.
Website.
I don't know if you guys know. There's a website where you can literally
No.
like.
I don't think they did because there really weren't a lot of websites
Yeah,
back
so
then.
well, they have that now. It's just like a random speaking topic
Yeah.
and bring it up. They have like
Yeah.
Yelp when you can rate a restaurant. They have that for professors now, so you can literally look up your professor before you sign up for a class, and it tells you a 1 through 5, based on other people.
That's a little sad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some professors have like 2 stars out here, so I'm like, I'm not taking your class. Like,
And you're
no.
trying. I mean, verbally, the word got round of what.
No, but it's
yeah.
literally So like, if you take it and you want to leave a review, you could do it. But I've also had professors that have like amazing reviews, and you take it and it's true. So
Another funny story actually with that professor when I was trying to get help with him. So we didn't have cell phones when I was in college. We had, old-fashioned phones with voicemail messages. And so we would switch up the voicemail messages with songs. And so one of the songs was a really great Snoop song that had some really choice words in it. And so he called, and that's the message he got.
That was your phone. Oh, I thought you meant his phone.
Oh yeah, not on his phone. No, he was
I was like, what? The
he
professor
was
had
older than I am
Okay,
now.
okay.
And so he called and then left me a message and was like, "This is so inappropriate." Blah blah blah. So that kind of yes. Because I was trying to coordinate. Because again, this is how you had to
Right.
call people to coordinate things.
This is when we
That's
had
crazy.
the little mini cassette in your.
Nope, this was digital. You press you press number 1 to record a message, and so we constantly were switching it up with songs. We thought it was so funny.
I've heard that was that people used to do that.
And
So he
Snoop
called.
was a big thing back then. He's still doing great today. Shout out to Snoop.
Yeah.
Martha. They do a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Snoop and Martha, yeah.
So cool. That's so funny. No, I have not had any professor stuff. Have you? Like just a funny story with a professor?
No, I don't think so.
I must say, I don't want to talk to my professor. I just go to class.
Called you. So the art professors called you if you were not in class
They called you.
What?
on the phone.
goodness.
Yes. And they
Where
would
are
say,
you? Like-
"Where are you?
That's crazy.
Oh,
They don't
I'm in
care.
bed right now. I'm not coming.
Yeah.
No, that's
Where are
wild.
you?" So I never missed because I did not want to be called in front of the whole class.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they'd call
See,
you.
this is a good segue for a little commercial in here. If you don't go to class because you're hungover, you should drink some Zen.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually.
Because Zen is really, turmeric is great for recovery from hangovers as well.
you're paying for every class you take.
You are.
Oh yeah, that's what I always
True.
tell myself.
Yes.
Well, that's like $20 right there.
Yeah,
It's
at
probably a little
least
bit
it's
more.
probably more than that.
Yeah.
So definitely drink this.
The way the
Yeah.
cost of tuition is nowadays, which could be another reason why tuition has gone. People are not
Oh, no,
going
for sure.
because it's so expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
And COVID probably
that study was in
yeah.
2019.
Oh, so right before COVID.
Before,
it 2020.
or something. Oh, maybe 2021 actually. So it was
Yeah.
right after COVID, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Interesting.
That's the wrong date. Yeah.
Because the cost has gone back up. It was down for a little bit because it was like hybrid, so like you're not really getting your full
Yeah.
experience.
You're
with-
not. No. But yet you were paying the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people had a big problem with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I mean, you still get the credits, so technically,
yeah, I guess.
you're still working towards it.
It's not the same
It's not.
experience. You're paying
Experience-wise,
for,
it is a bad-
yes,
it is
exactly.
I was really worried that I wasn't going to get an internship because I was like, how am I supposed to get an internship?
Right, in COVID, right. Right.
Because I was just going
Right.
into looking for internships. So I was
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
had zero actual experience in the classroom.
Yeah.
So I was just freaking out at that time. That was scary, but
But that was
Yeah.
good looking, even.
Yeah.
That you cared enough to
Yeah.
get on.
Yeah, some people don't even care to.
It is.
Yeah. We had one extra. This was more, well, I don't know if Amy's ever worked with her significant other in like a work setting. You have? Okay, that's perfect. Because we actually were talking about like just like working with your significant other in like the entrepreneurship.
spouse,
So we
yeah.
wanted to ask you guys how.
Because
was
you
that?
probably can tell when I'm annoyed by him.
For context, for anyone that's listening,
Yes.
Andrea is married to a Sim, which is one of the co-founders. So we all work in the same office. So we just
We
wanted to
do.
ask, what is
So,
that- what is
and
that
I
like?
came in after the company had been started. So I came in just about 2.5 years ago. We just started year 5. I was in the travel space marketing, and that obviously all because of COVID ended, and I was without a job. And so my husband Asim was like, "Hey, why don't you come work with us and help us build out a marketing team?" And I was like, "Okay." Not sure about this, but no, what I love working about with him is that we both share the same passion. We're both really passionate about being a B Corp. We're passionate about the product. I mean, we love what we're doing. We're the happiest we probably both have ever been in our careers, so that's great. But just like any significant other in your life, especially when you spend a lot of time with them, which we do, there's those little things like every time he answers the phone, he never puts his AirPods in. He just answers it on speakerphone, so everybody has to hear it. And he would admit this, he's very like ADD. And so he just like, he fidgets like constantly, like he can't sit still. And so then I just get annoyed at that.
I was gonna say it's just something.
So,
But would you say it's worth it or no? If you had to like, if like for example, I want to start a company.
Yeah.
A significant other could do it. Would you,
I think
would
if
you
it,
advise it?
I
Like,
think
do
if
it or
it's
not?
the right, I think for us why it works, and this goes back to math class and stuff, is I have that marketing creative brain. He is a math genius, and he's great at business, and I like to think about this stage I'm good at business too. Yeah. Let's hope. Let's hope. And so I think because we both complement each other in our skills, yes, it really works for us together. I think it just depends on what your significant other does or what they bring to the table, but I think having different skill sets that complement each other, works really well. So yeah, I would say, but have your, you have to have your boundaries. I also work with my brother-in-law too.
Yeah, that's also a good thing.
And you just have to have, we all have very different personalities. And so you also just have to have your boundaries. And so there's times too, where like on a Sunday, I'll be like, you know what, we're not going to talk about work right now. Like, we're just not like, we have to, like, there's times where you have to draw the line and it can't be about work 24/7. Right. And so you have to draw the line. So no, I think, I think it's, if you feel like it's a good fit with your significant other, then, or your best friend or your sibling, whoever it is, then I'd say go for it, because that passion really fuels you through the roller coaster ride of a startup.
Yeah. So I've been involved in a bunch of startups, and there's always family. It seems like always family in a startup.
I feel like if you're gonna do a startup, sometimes
Yeah.
you just
So
need
I
family.
worked with a father-son team, and then here with brothers and spouse, and then my sister-in-law, my husband, and my brother. And we all brought different things to the table. Yeah. Except my brother and I are very similar. So the run-ins and the frustration were rarely with the other two. It was my brother and I that were, and then they would just be like, we're leaving the room. Yeah. You guys can fight amongst yourselves. I think when you're complimenting each other, it's so much easier to work together than when you're almost the same, right? And so my brother and I, even though we work it out and we love each other, and we both got it done. You know, that was where we would have the bumps, was like, no, it needs to be this, or no, that font is too big, you know. So yeah. I think it's just really about complimenting, and it is so fun to work with your family, and I think there's a lot of
and I'm sure this was for you and the startups you've done too. Like, I think our kids also see like how passionate and excited we are, and we come home and it's like, oh, you know, like this football team actually, like we just got into here, and you know, and this happened, and they just like they see the excitement. We just threw a after party homecoming at the warehouse. So it really is a family affair. And so, I think the kids like see that. And I think that's really healthy for them to see that we followed our passions and we're doing what we want to do versus like working for the same company for 25, 30, 40 years and just punching a clock and complaining every day. Yeah. So I love that.
And if you can do it for people you love, even better.
Exactly.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Is there any final remarks you guys would have? Just to wrap up the. That's a good one. I was gonna say, like, I should have asked it before. I would have given you the spotlight. So just hit it right.
No, I just think in conclusion, internships are great. Highly recommend everybody to get an internship in marketing and do multiple ones to test it, because there are so many different areas in marketing. I mean, there's PR, there's social, there's email, there's, you know, and companies that are, you know, further along, you have acquisition, you have retention, you know, but I think it's also knowing a lot about yourself to either go the corporate America route into bigger companies, or if you like a little more chaos and an opportunity to work on everything, then a startup is probably your best bet. But if you want the structure and, you know, this is my box and my area, then, you know, corporate is great. And it's also not a bad idea to do both, to see, you know, because some people do really, really well in startups and they thrive in that, and other people, it is not for them, and that's okay, you know, but those are the things that an internship will help you figure out is this an environment where I walk out here and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was so cool, or like, I don't even know what happened today.
Yeah, like I'm just lost.
Right.
Yeah. I was just thinking, even though I already said my last thing, I have one thing, and it's about what you were saying that earlier too, you, Joaquin, about feeling like you didn't bring anything, like, you have no idea. Like, I get like that energy. I love having you guys in here because there is just this whole different perspective and this energy that there definitely is something you're bringing besides the work that you're doing. You know, it is important. It is that energy and that perspective that I love having around. I know you do too. You know, like we really enjoy the interns.
I mean,
you know,
our co-founders will say, are any of the interns coming in today? I mean, I noticed the whole office feels it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You are bringing something to the table besides the work you're doing. There is more. Yes.
So I would say, do you have any final remarks? Do I have final remarks? I would say I would agree with him completely. I feel like an internship.
That you bring something to the table?
Yeah, that too. Hopefully. Not to toot my own horn right now. No, I would say that an internship is something everyone should do no matter what their major or career path is. Everyone should do it. So yeah. So this has been episode 8. Thank you for Andrea and Amy for coming on the episode.
Nice job.
We had a great episode, I feel like. Lots of clips for TikTok.
Very and funny.
Yeah, I mean,
will not feature Amy and I.
We do not want to be on the clip.